Florida Flats.
And I'm Captain Mike Graven.
Today is Tips and Tricks Day. So basically, one of the questions we're asked all the time, why am I catching fish today, but yesterday I was at that spot and I didn't catch anything? So what's the difference between yesterday and today? You get asked that question a lot?
Yeah, consistency out there on the water. I mean, you have to remember the conditions, not necessarily why you caught fish today. You caught fish because you were on fish. So when you go back there the next day and you're not catching them, it's probably because you're not on them. You know, because you didn't repeat the same thing you did yesterday. Maybe the tide's different. You know, maybe, there's a million things that can happen, right? So water temperature, your tide, your wind direction, all them things matter. And when you're out there and you're fishing, you need to write this stuff down so you can remember and create a pattern for yourself, what these fish are doing and what water temperature, what tide, and all that stuff.
Right, just the other day, we went to a spot, we were catching nice reds, everything was good, but when I pulled up to that spot, I saw mullet, I saw bait fish, I saw all sorts of fish around there. So I knew the fishing was going to be good. So we were catching them, not a problem. We moved around a little bit around that spot and we were staying on top of them. But this morning went to the same spot and there was nothing there. I didn't see any mullet, I didn't see any bait, I didn't see anything.
Was your tide the same?
No, it wasn't.
Well, that's the deal. Especially when you're offshore, I don't think tide really matters whether it's in or out, as long as you have tide or tidal flow. Our fish eat when the water moves.
Right.
So when you're off or near shore, as long as you have moving water, our fish tend to eat. When you're inshore, where you're at in that tide, I think
Matters quite a bit, the water temperature.
It's not, to where them fish are staged up at. Right. When you're near shore or offshore, if you find a piece of structure, them fish are going to stick to that structure, right, and stay there. When you're inshore, our fish move in and out a little bit with whatever the tide's doing.
Yeah, what I do is when I find a new spot and I fish it and I'm catching fish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my phone and I'm going to log in the date, water temperature, what kind of tide it is, wind direction, as much information as I can gather. So I know that spot produces when those situations occur. So I'll go and try it at a different situation. So if I go on an outgoing tide and I'm catching fish, but then if I go on a full tide and I'm not catching anything and I don't see any bait, I know that spot is better for an outgoing tide. So I mark it down because you're not going to remember all the spots and the situations you were in. So I mark everything down. Do you?
I don't necessarily write a lot of stuff down, but I have a pretty good memory. And that's the only way you're going to be able to create a pattern and stay on fish, is to remember when and why you're catching them fish in certain spots. Charter fishing would create what, call it a milk run, right?
Yeah.
I got a milk run for low water, I got a milk run for high water, and all fishermen, I think, are creatures of habit. But you can't just go to a spot because you caught fish there before and the conditions and the situation is not the same. It's not going to produce. You have to remember, like you were just talking about, if you catch a bunch of fish right here today, you got to come back tomorrow and repeat them same conditions. You can't just come at any time of the day. What our tide's doing, we're a very tidally influenced fishery.
Right, and not only that, but I see people out there, they're fishing the same way, trying to fish the same way in the summer like they're doing in the winter. Don't forget, in the summer, the water is really, really warm. So the fish are going to be looking for cooler water, and vice versa. In the winter, they're going to be looking for warmer water, like springs.
Correct. With us being so shallow here, water temperature dictates
Everything.
a lot of what we do. Come October, November, we're going to catch monster gags in 8 to 10 foot of water, but right
Because
now
they'll be moving in.
Right, but we sit here in late summer right now, and they're 25, 30 miles out.
Yeah.
So
the big thing that we're trying to come across is, just because you're catching fish on one particular day in one spot doesn't mean you go back to the same spot and catch the same fish. because the fish move depending on the situation and what's going on with the water. So mark everything down and keep a log. After you keep a log, keep a 12-month log, and then just keep repeating it. And then you'll notice a pattern. Then you'll create your own milk run, basically, and you'll know, okay, it's October. I'm gonna go fish this spot, and I'm gonna look for this kind of
And
tides.
right. If you tend to do that for a couple years, you'll probably see that them fish will show up in the same places or close to where you caught them last year when the water temperature was 78 degrees.
Right. Absolutely. So that's this Fishing Florida Flats, our tips and tricks for the week. Please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe below so you don't miss next week's tips and tricks. Remember, the fishing report will be coming out on Friday. Thank you and have a great day.